Okay. Cool. We're recording. Okay. So just got consent. All right. So first I wanted to start off with what year are you?
I am a senior.
Okay. And uh what are you studying?
I'm studying business administration, so finance and marketing are my double major.
Okay. How many credits did you have to take for a double major?
It was just the standard 120 that Grand Valley, the Seaman College of Business requires.
Okay. Um, so the topic that we're going to talk about is how do you choose your classes? So yeah, how do you choose your classes for that major?
Yeah, so at Grand Valley State University, they have this thing called the My Path, which basically kind of lists general requirements in order to graduate. And it tells you you have certain classes that are required. So, like core business classes that everyone has to take, such as like marketing 350, finance 350, and among others. And then, so for those, the way I usually scheduled those is I took a look at the course offerings, and I first thing I did is, um, well, let me go back. Well, I would do it before the classes actually became available, but the schedules were already released prior to that. So, like a couple days before the schedules were released, I would go into those required classes, look at who the professors were, take those professor names, plug them into Rate My Professor, and determine which of those professors I would like the best to learn from in that specific area of coursework. And then what I would do is based on that, and then as well as looking at the times that the classes are offered, as well as if it's hybrid or online or fully in person, I would make the decision based on what I liked. So I liked classes after 10 a.m., and I preferred in person classes usually for most of them. So those are things I kind of looked for. And I try to get all my professors to be over a 4 out of 5 star rating on Rate My Professor. Um, cause I kind of look towards what other people have said about them as kind of a precursor before I select them as my professor.
Okay. Um, so you said you use My Path from Grand Valley, and then that helps you to choose the actual classes you're gonna take, and then um, on Rate My Professor, you want a 4 out of 5 at least. Are there any other specific attributes you look for when choosing a professor?
Um, yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on the class. So I prefer to have professors with real world experience, especially as a business major. So I look for things on Rate My Professor that mention kind of a little bit about their background. Um, so I like my professors to have like kind of a knowledge of like how it actually works versus just being a professor for the past 20 years and they've never actually had a job in the field other
Right.
than teaching. So that's a
Okay.
big one. And then also I would tend to look at like how strict of a grader they are, how much reading you have to do. Um, but it kind of depends on the class as well for that.
Okay. Um, and then you said that you like to choose classes that are after 10 a.m. Would My Path just automatically choose the like times, or did you have to keep track of your like schedule when choosing the classes?
Yeah, so basically the system. So if I search, let's say I was looking for classes in finance 422. So I have that's a required class for finance majors. So I would type that in and it would give me a full course listing of how many classes they're offering for that specific course. So for 422, there might be 10 offerings in a semester for that class, and maybe two are online, and then the other ones uh, will list the date and time, or the days and time. So like a Monday, Wednesday, or Thursday, Tuesday, and then you can kind of just select from there. And on my path, when you like web register for a class, it will appear in your schedule, and then it will search for conflicts as you go along. So you don't have to actually manually keep track of that. It kind of does it for you. So like you
No,
can't double book yourself for two 11 a.m. classes
okay,
as long as you registered for one.
okay. Um, and then once you choose those, how do you keep track of your like class schedule, like throughout the school year?
Um, yeah, I mean after about a week or two, I kind of memorize my schedule, so it's kind of like I'm on autopilot. But I do upload it to my Google Calendar and kind of run things through that
Okay.
because
Um,
you can basically upload it directly into your Google Calendar without any extra work. It takes like 2 minutes and it'll import in there.
okay. And then has your strategy of choosing classes changed over time?
Yeah, definitely. At first, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I would just kind of, I would basically wait until classes were about to start and then choose my classes. I would just procrastinate a lot, and that kind of forced my hand in taking classes with professors that aren't great or class times I didn't like. Um, I remember one time I like didn't register for a class until like the day before classes started, and then I realized it was an 8:30 a.m. class, which I had mentioned earlier. I don't like those classes, and it wasn't even the right. It was like an honors class, which I wasn't intending on taking. I ended up working out, um, but yeah, just kind of doing it ahead of time and not procrastinating, and then that gives you time to actually like do a little bit of research, which has paid out for me in the long run, in terms of getting me classes I like and professors I enjoy.
Okay. And then last question, what would you suggest to an incoming freshman regarding class selection?
I would recommend that you look at, I mean it's a little bit different for um for like the general ed classes,
Mhm.
but just take the time, just mark out some time in your calendar, and as early as possible pick your classes and like use the tools that the university offers and do it ahead of time, and then look up all of the, let's say you have to take a political science class or something, um, find one that you're interested in, and then kind of base or maybe narrow it down to two or three classes you like, and then and go through and see what times those classes are being offered at your university. Look up the professors, unrate my professor to see if they're good professors that you would actually like. And yeah, and then just the main thing is just doing it ahead of time so you don't have to try to fight with everyone else who's also procrastinated
Mhm.
um, on getting a class, because the last thing you want to do is take like a time you don't like with a professor you don't like either. It's just going to make your life a lot harder.
Right. Okay. Cool. Well, thanks for explaining how you go about choosing your classes.
I appreciate the time, Owen.
Yep.
Excellent interview.